Some people build successful careers. Others leave an imprint on an entire industry. Sherry Chris has done both. From launching Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate into one of the industry's most recognizable brands, to leading iconic companies like Coldwell Banker, ERA Real Estate, and most recently serving as special advisor to Brokerages for the National Association of REALTORS, Sherry has spent more than 4 decades shaping the future of real estate. But what makes this conversation so compelling isn't the list of titles she's held. It's how she thinks.
But if you launch a brand, in the height of a market, nobody has time to talk to you. If you launch it when people are struggling, they're going to listen to your story.
Throughout this episode, Sherry shares the mindset behind building brands that stand out, developing leaders who surpass expectations, and creating cultures where people genuinely want to belong. She explains why success comes from seeing opportunities others overlook, why your reputation is your most valuable asset, and why the strongest leaders aren't the ones seeking the spotlight. They're the ones helping others shine.
I empowered them to be the best that they could be, and they ultimately moved on to bigger and better things as well. And to me, that is the most important component of true teamwork and collaboration.
There's a calm confidence in Sherry's leadership that's impossible to miss. Every story carries a lesson. Every answer offers perspective. Whether you're an agent, a broker, or simply someone who wants to lead at a higher level, this conversation is filled with timeless wisdom from one of real estate's most respected voices. Let's dive into today's episode.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Sherry, thank you so much for being here. If it's okay, I'd like to scream your accolades and introduce, in case people just got licensed yesterday or they've been living under a rock for 10 years. I like to tell them how incredibly honored we are to have you. So do you mind if I just give a little bio?
Just a real short one now.
You know what? That's hard because, of course I know you, Sherry, but I started doing deep dive and I was like, wow, like I was trying to highlight what I should say because it was so much and it was really super hard to edit out. So I'm going to try and do it fast. So you raised in London, Ontario, Canada, earned an MBA from Ivy Business School. You began in banking, but got into real estate because it didn't go. You had a horrible home buyer experience. I got to ask you about that. So you started as a real estate sales associate. Gang, those of you that are on this call or watching later, a lot of our CEOs and shakers in the industry, they didn't have a background as a salesperson. So to me, that's very special. You were at Royal LePage for 16 years in Canada, executive vice president of network services. And then in 2003, became president of Real Living Network Services. 2005, the COO, Prudential California Realty, which that's the person, for people who don't know, COOs are the ones that really run the show, not the CEO. That's just the title. 2006, COO again, a Coldwell Banker. Chosen in 2007 by Realogy to build Better Homes and Gardens. For people that don't know, Better Homes and Gardens, correct me if I'm wrong, Sherry, went defunct pretty much in 1998. And then you brought it back. Now, this is really powerful, and I want everybody to know this. And I'm going to end with one other thing after it. I mean, Sherry, you built Better Homes and Gardens essentially from nothing. It was only just a brand to having 40 states, 6 countries, 360 offices, and 12,000 agents. And now you're retired, but Nakia Wright was a smart woman to ask you to help her right the ship of NAR. Son of a gun. What an incredible, incredible resume. How do you feel about your life? Let me start with that. How do you feel about the totality of the impact that you've had in the world? Because you have.
It's, you have me speechless, Darryl. I'm honored and humbled for the services that I've been able to provide through, over 40 years in real estate. And you just, you don't know where life is going to lead you. However, A long time ago, I was at a Mike Ferry seminar, and there was a speaker on the stage who made a quote, and that I always remember. Like some things come in and out of your brain, and you don't always act upon them. But this gentleman, and I don't know his name anymore, he said luck, because people say, "Oh, she's been so lucky." Uh, you know, Wow, what a lucky opportunity that you've had throughout your career. So, luck is a form of intelligence. It's
Mm,
being able to recognize an opportunity and act upon it. And
hmm
so that has been me, where I look at things differently than some others, and I see opportunities sometimes that others don't identify, and I jump in and act upon them. And so that's kind of the cliff notes of my career.
Well, as I dug deep in you, because in your history, and because again, it was really, I'm not just blowing smoke at you. It was very inspiring, and I had an epiphany in preparing this conversation, and that is because I've interviewed some really great folks. Uh, uh, I won't go through all the names because I'm going to leave them out. But what I've noticed and learned is that usually a leader has like a superpower, and it could be one they're lucky to have two. But as I was going through your history, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you have three, in my opinion. Um, not, I'm sure even a lot more. But if I were to take the leadership aspect of your life, I learned there's building brands. Like building a brand is in of itself a skill set and not easy. But when you have that talent, it's magical. Then building leaders, because you've been skillful at developing people and building leaders to carry on and to be better at what they do. And the third bucket is building a culture, how the company people feel about the company. And my goodness, I say you've mastered those three buckets. And I'm going to ask questions based on those buckets. And but my first one is, I'm going to read them because I don't want to mess this up. You didn't grow up dreaming of becoming a CEO. In fact, you had that disappointing experience with buying your first home. So take us back to that moment. What happened, and why did you think you can do this better? Or how you can contribute to the real estate industry as an agent at that time?
Well, Daryl, I was a young woman in my early 20s, and I was buying my first home. And I used back then what was or who was a top producer. And the whole experience I felt was, lackluster. And
Mm,
the communication wasn't there. I had to step in myself. And I was a proud homeowner, and I understood what should be done and what wasn't done. And so I thought to myself, at that time, I was in business development for a bank in Canada. So I was basically a salesperson for the bank. I was out developing business with lawyers and accountants and small corporations to bring their commercial business into the bank. So I thought I'm pretty good at this, so I think I'll be pretty good at real estate sales. But here's what happened. I got my license, secretly part-time at night. I quit my job, and I, went in hard and fast. But what I didn't realize, and these are the mistakes that you make, and every mistake creates a challenge and an opportunity, was that at my young age, I really needed accountability. And the bank provided me with that. I was held, at a high level of accountability. Real estate, on the other hand,
hmm
I was on my own. And so I really didn't do very well in the beginning. I mean, I sold my first home quickly by chance. And then, there was quite a dry spell after that. But during that time, I started helping others in my office and within my company. And, you go through life, some people never really realize this, and others do. And I was one intuitively that was able to realize this every step of the way, is that you find the highest and best use of your skill set,
Mm,
and you act on that. And so what I found very quickly, and I only sold real estate for under 2 years, was
okay.
that the highest and best use of my skill set was helping others help the end consumer buy
Mm.
and sell homes. And so that's when the journey really started.
Got you. Very good. Okay, great. So now when you were with Royal LePage, how did you start? And you were there, I think, 16 years, and building up to leadership. So what were some of the lessons you learned
Mm.
along the way that helped you get to each next level within Royal LePage?
Well, I'm going to tell you the biggest lesson was that when I went to Royal LePage for an interview, and that was a company that I really wanted to be with. They were the largest company in Canada with over 400 offices from coast to coast, and I had already obtained my broker's license. I was a manager for another fairly large company, but I wanted to be at Royal LePage, and I was a successful manager, branch manager. So I went for the interview. The two gentlemen that interviewed me said, we like you, you're smart, congratulations on your success. However, we don't hire managers from the outside. You have to start as an agent, and then you go through our management training, and then you'll become a manager. So I was like crestfallen, and because I thought I was just going to breeze in there. So I left. And so I started thinking there's got to be a way. There must be a way. And so I came up with this plan. So I called them back. Of course, this was way before any technology. You dial the front office of the corporate headquarters. And I requested a second meeting. And so I went in. And so I said to them, you know, I'm a qualified manager, and you must have at least one office that is failing and not meeting your expectations, that's not profitable, that is doing very poorly in this general vicinity, which was the Greater Toronto area.
Okay.
Do you? And yes, they had two. And so I said, let's take a look at the financials. So we took a look, dismal. And so I said, why don't you take a chance on me? Give me one of those offices. If I turn it around, you'll be heroes. If I don't, it was an experiment that didn't work.
And
So,
it couldn't get any worse, perhaps.
yeah, you know how the story turned out.
Yeah.
So, yes. So there's always a way. If you want it to happen, you need to think about your goals and what you want to accomplish, not as everyone else thinks about them. You have to look at things in different ways and find a solution in different ways. And that is, truly one of my superpowers.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna deviate here just for a second because I want to capture this moment because I'm trying to listen to your share through my coaching members and like I think a question they might have. Which, by the way, we have two groups of people on this call. We have brokers and managers and leaders right now because that's where this focus is. But we also have some of my coaching members that are agents. And I always tell the power agents to listen to this conversation through leadership ears because agents are leaders themselves in their own business. And I know. So my question is this: like, you clearly have a certain level of confidence that is probably lacking across the nation with agents in general. The majority of the agents, I think, are insecure of themselves. They have some fears, and especially when they look at the industry being attacked, it shakes their belief system even more. What would you say to that agent that is not as confident in who they are as you are with yourself? And of course, I mean that as a compliment.
You have to wake up every morning, and I urge anyone and everyone who is listening to this today and believe that you're the best person for the job. And that's where it all starts. And if you don't believe that you are the best person for the job, then you're not going to get the job. You're not going to get the listing. You're not going to get the sale. And so you take a step back and work on instilling confidence within yourself. We're all the best person for the job out there. Many of us don't realize it yet. And so you need to find that within your inner self and utilize that each and every day. Darryl, in my early days, I was the youngest person in the room and the only woman. And so in management and leadership. And so for some people, they would walk in feeling completely intimidated and not worthy of sitting at the table. But that wasn't me, because what I did is I took the barrier down of, you know, male versus female. And I said to myself, I'm a human being that is smart and can get this job done. And I've gone my entire career believing that and understanding that. And as a result, some of those barriers just, dropped away very easily.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm so glad I asked that. All right. Let's go to building the brand. When Reality handed you Better Homes and Gardens, what was day one of that first month? What was that like for you?
Well, let's take a little bit of a step back. So, Alex Perillo, some of you know him. Darryl, I know you do.
Mhm.
He ran, all of the franchise brands. I was CEO of all the franchise brands for Realogy for a long time, and he was my boss. And so he called me into his office and said, Sherry, right now you're the chief operating officer of one of the largest brands in the world, Coldwell Banker, in many different countries, et cetera. But we want to offer you a different type of position, and that is the launch of Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, where you'll have the opportunity to build a brand from scratch and develop it and design it in a way that you believe is right. And so for some people, they would say, I'm not doing that. I
Right.
like where I am. And, I love the fact that I can say I have, tens of thousands of offices in 40 countries. I'm not doing it. But for me, oh, this was a wonderful opportunity. But here's what happened on day one. I walked into the office and I realized very quickly that I had no website, no listings, no brokers, no value proposition.
Right.
But what I had was a brand that had 97% brand awareness
Mhm.
in the magazine lifestyle and design space. And so that was a great thing to work with. Now, Darryl, I have to tell you though, I launched that brand on July 23rd, 2008. And in September of 2008, not all of your audience will know this, but that was when the real estate market crashed, the financial markets crashed, many things happened during that month. And that was something that challenged me, my team, to no end.
Amazing. And by the way, I have to say this. It, it was, in my humble opinion, it wasn't really you building from scratch because it existed
Yeah.
before and kind of defunct. It now had a stigma, which, in my opinion, is harder than if it was
Harder,
truly
harder.
from scratch.
Yes, yes, because here's what happened is that from 1978 to 1998, for a 20-year period of time, and like this is way back, Meredith Corporation that
Right.
owned the Better Homes and Gardens magazine, the largest media company in the US, um, they decided that they were going to extend the brand into real estate. So they actually managed and operated a franchise brand for 20 years. And then in 1998, they sold it to GMAC, but they sold it, in the contract, it stated that you cannot use the Better Homes and Gardens name. So,
Mm.
some of us will remember that that rebrand took place. And in the contract, it stated that Meredith Corporation could not launch another real estate brand for 10 years. So,
Mhm.
1998 to 2008, when I launched it, it was dormant. And,
Mm.
there are many people that remember, like, what happened? It went bankrupt and,
Right,
this,
right.
all of this. And so, yes, I had to launch with that. But I had a strategy in mind and it actually ended up working.
So, all right. So let's look at that. Because we're still in the brand piece here. How did you use the brand, like it wasn't recognizable, the name, some stigma to it when it came in, I think more internally with brokers and managers. So how did you I don't like to use the word sell, but how did you validate to brokers and managers, hey, come join the Better Homes and Garden family, when there was that perhaps stigma?
Well, so I'm going to use the word position. So how did I position the brand?
Brilliant.
So when I looked at all of my competitors, including internal competitors, because
Mhm.
Realogy had five other brands. So I looked internally at my competitors and externally at my competitors. One thing became very clear that almost all of them, not all of them, but almost all of them positioned themselves in a very transaction-oriented way. And so, how many transactions did you do, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. So I thought I saw an opening, and that opening was to create a different type of brand that wasn't a Wall Street brand, it was a Main Street brand, a lifestyle brand, a brand that really spoke to the end consumer in different ways around design and dreaming about the next phase of your life through real estate. And what does that barbecue going to look like in your backyard? And what types of gardens would you plant on your property? And so the magazine itself really aided in,
Mhm.
well, wouldn't have been able to do it without, in creating a lifestyle brand. I had people calling me saying, I don't understand. I don't understand what you're talking about, lifestyle brands. So I would explain it to them. And Darryl, I also had, and I wanted to get this point in because, sometimes you get a little frazzled.
Mhm.
I launched uh, you know, in 2008 at Inman Connect in July of 2008. So I'm on stage talking a little bit about it, and people came up to me afterwards and said, there's a lot of talk going on about your brand and the launch of your brand. So I'm thinking, oh, what are they going to say? That this is the best thing since whatever. And so the
Right.
talk was the opposite. They were saying she's going to be out of business within a year.
Wow.
Of course,
And
that.
that's because the stigma. And you know what? I hope everybody gets something here, because this is really profound. Because it just hit me again. Not only were you fighting against that stigma, which I think you just referenced, but he there's like Coldwell Banker, Century 21, like this, the market was full of companies. So
Mhm.
to start this, bring this one to where you brought it to, it's just absolutely amazing.
Well, the market wasn't full of lifestyle brands.
Right. So what you did is you found a missing marketing warfare. One of my favorite books. You found a niche, and you made that the company's strength. And what's missing? And the reason why I want to just everybody to get that is because agents feel, how do I shine when I'm competing with all these other agents, especially top producers who've been in the market for years, like Coldwell Banker,
Totally.
Century, right? And broker managers, leaders too, same thing. How do I build a successful company when there's like 10 around the block in my marketplace? Well, Sherry did it.
You think
Um,
of things differently. Daryl, I want to tell you like a 30-second story. This is
Please.
way back in my Royal LePage days managing branches and ultimately the company from a servicing point of view. But in one of my offices, new agent, I had all these agents, had some, incredible top producers. A new agent came to me and he said, I want to take a picture of all of the agents in the office, like out in front of a house. And so I said, well, okay. Why do you want that? And he said, well, I just want to have it. And so we went to the, open houses, like the broker opens or whatever
Mhm.
we call them. So all the agents gathered around, and this guy actually had a photographer come and take a picture, brand new agent.
Right.
And so what he did was he put that picture in his listing presentation book. And he went on listing presentations and he said, to the owners, because they're like, when did you start? Of course, people still ask
I
this.
always ask
Right?
that.
How
Sure.
long have you been in the business? How many homes? So he would say, I just started in the business. However, I have all of these people that work with me. It's my office. And if you list your home with me, it's not just me, it's all of these agents. So he's getting listings. And meanwhile, the top producers have no idea that he's using them to bring in, so I thought like that is very innovative. That's how we need to think each
Yes.
every day, right?
Love that.
I
Love that.
know.
That was great. Okay. Boy, I'm having so much fun. Okay, so let's see. You transformed Better Homes and Gardens from magazine people loved into real estate brand people trusted. We may have covered this. How did you define the brand beyond the logo? How did you convince brokers that weren't joining? I think we covered that. Yes. I mean,
We covered it, and I was able to convince brokers across the country that were with other types of brands that this was a new beginning. And actually, what happened was because we had the recession and
mhm.
the financial crisis, many brokers were looking for, what the next phase of their company was going to look like. And so launching at that time, some would say, oh, that's a disaster. But if you launch a brand, in the height of a market, nobody has time to talk to you. If you launch it when people are struggling, they're going to listen to your story. And that
Mm,
turned out to be, a blessing for me in many ways.
wow. Oh, you're so brilliant. All right. If you were talk if we have a broker or a manager that has 50 people, no, not a manager but a broker, and they want to build a brand, what maybe top things would you say that they should look at in creating that brand?
Well, I am going to say a few things. That First of all, let me level set it by saying today I believe that there's room for everyone in this industry. Uh, Mega brands, medium-sized companies, large regionals, franchises, independents or unaffiliated, and small brokers as well. So there's room for everyone. However, yes, and I just got a heart for
Yeah, I
that.
see that.
Another one. So thank you for that because that is the truth. But there's always a but. And
Okay.
so my but is that no matter what size your company is, you must have a clearly defined value proposition. So what do
Mm,
you stand for? Who are you and what do you stand for? And that is how you will attract agents, and that's how your agents will attract the end consumer. So gone are the days where you can be all things to all people. You must
mm,
have a very clearly defined value proposition, and that is how it will work for you. And on top of that, and I always like to talk about this, is that you must take the emotion out of it and look at your company as a strategic growth opportunity. So think about it like the banks do or the credit card companies do. There's no CEO sitting at the top of, Citibank getting emotional about their next marketing campaign or how they're going to increase revenue. They're looking at it from a strategic perspective, and each and every broker owner needs to do that too. Because we see on social media, people are like, "I hate X."
mhm.
Don't hate anyone. Just understand your business and how you're going to grow it strategically. And so that is my advice to companies and brokerages of all sizes.
Awesome. And I'm tying it back to what you shared about Better Homes and Gardens, how for you it was the lifestyle, that was the focus, that was the core of the company. And I think a lot of brokers that are building don't have that. They're just thinking brokerage and thinking
Exactly.
listings. So there has to, which is going to tie in also to company culture as well. Uh,
Company culture. And, one comment just came out from Jeffrey. Hi, Jeffrey, who said, know your competition. Yes, understand your competition. Stay in your own swim lane, but you have to know exactly who your competition is in your trading area.
Very awesome. Very good. Okay. Let's see. All right, we got that. Let's talk about building leaders. And you've often described yourself as a servant leader. What does a servant leadership actually look like when thousands of agents, brokers, franchise owners are depending on you?
It's really inverted leadership. So if you look at, an inverted triangle where the leader is at the bottom, pushing everyone out, pushing his or her beliefs and leadership style and strategy, so that everyone is greater with that leadership than without. And so you take yourself out of the limelight, so to speak, or use it sparingly and just push everyone to greater heights. So for me, an example of this is that I've always surrounded myself with people who are smarter than I am in certain areas. And so it's the whole team that actually pushes the brand or the company ahead. It's never one person. And there are very successful leaders who do not practice this. They practice more of a dictatorial leadership style where it's all about them and what they want. And that's fine. That's a style and it does work. My style is the opposite. And so, in building my team at Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, I brought people in that, were going to be great. And many of them have achieved greatness because I brought them in. I empowered them to be the best that they could be. And they ultimately moved on to bigger and better things as well. And to me, that is the most important component of true teamwork and collaboration. However,
Mm.
the buck always stops somewhere. And so, when you have to make a tough decision, you can't just be, oh, we're a, collaborative part of the team. You need to always remember that, you're the person at the end of the day that makes those tough decisions.
And I think when people in a company feel that their leader is committed to developing them to be better at who they are, better at their jobs, I think they fall in love with that leader.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And they trust the leader. So, that trust is so important in every industry, and ours is no exception. But
Mhm.
if there's a high level of trust there, you can accomplish anything.
Mm. I've been blessed with some of the people in our company. I've seen them grow to incredible, and I know how much they appreciate it. It's like it's beyond the paycheck. It's the feeling of that they're growing as human beings in the culture of the company. So awesome. Okay, throughout your career, you promoted and mentored countless leaders. When you meet someone with leadership potential, what do you see before everyone else does?
I see that there's leadership potential in almost everyone, and
Mm,
that doesn't mean that everyone is destined to be a CEO or a
mhm.
COO, but everyone in their own right has the ability to be a leader. And so, for me, I've always looked at bringing out the best in people, and sometimes people that don't even recognize they have a best, and identifying strengths and working hard to bring out the best in people. That
Mhm,
builds trust as well, and that
mhm.
builds a collaborative team. And it's so rewarding for me to be able to do that. And it's always conscious, but it's not always conscious on the other side until somebody wakes up one morning and says, "Wow, I- I'm doing a good job," and people actually trust me and understand me, and that's just wonderful.
Awesome. Very good. Can you think of somebody who's mentored you eventually surpass? Wait, can you think of someone you mentored who eventually surpassed your expectations? What did you see in them before they saw it in themselves?
Well, there have been several, and I won't name anyone by name, but it's uh, one person would have been an assistant that worked for me, and my assistant is an extension of me, and
Yeah.
so what I have always um, you know what I've always instilled in people that have worked with me, in particular an assistant, is that we're two, we're both doing the same job. And so I've always empowered that person to reach out and make the phone calls and not just set up appointments, but be part of everything and grow within yourself. And so I have, just a number of instances where that has happened. And one assistant that I had at the very beginning of Better Homes and Gardens is now in a management role, still with the
Mhm.
company after all these years, in a management role, managing people and dealing directly with and collaborating with and servicing franchisees. That person never would have dreamt in a million years that they would have moved from that position to where they are today. So, helping people grow through their career. I've had people that have mentored me in the past, at several. You choose a mentor based on what your needs are at any given time. And so, I've had several mentors that have helped me in my career over the years. Alex Perillo being one of them, and others as well. And so, mentoring is a very important part of business, in my opinion, an important part of growth.
On both sides is what you just said, right? For yourself and for you
Absolutely.
mentoring others. Yeah. All right. By the way, gang, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to start to think, because we have, and I mean this sincerely, a very brilliant person here. So please write down your questions in the Q&A because I want to give you a chance. We'll read it for you. Um, I'm going to go off the questions for a second, Sherry, and um, just to help, because I was thinking as you were sharing that some of the agents and leaders right now may be getting somewhat distracted by the stuff out there, right? So we
Mhm.
know NAR lawsuit and the settlement, and when we thought that was over, we've got private listing war and Zillow and da. So without getting into the politics of it and where your position is, although you're free to share whatever you want, of course, um, what would the advice be for people that are worried? So not even distracted, because I don't want to dismiss their concerns or fears that they have, because it's real for them. But what would you say to them? What would you coach them so that way they can stay focused on what's important in their life and their business?
If it's something that you're not directly involved in, and so, that takes some people who are vocal, out of this conversation. But if it's something that you're not directly involved in, my question to you is, why are you inserting yourself into it
Mm,
publicly? And so, think about this. And I, talk to agents and brokers about this all the time. Is that now with AI and the way that we can search, like, I don't know how you found all that stuff about me, Darryl, but you found it.
I've
And
got it.
it's just think about your role in business and in real estate, and the fact that if you're a realtor, that the consumer can find everything out about you, including perhaps disparaging comments or
Mm,
opinions that might change over a period of time. And if you're a broker owner, and I've seen brokers do this, and I've actually called brokers out on it. I'm like, stop. Where they've, made political comments on social media, comments about competitors and competitors that are in other areas of the business. You could lose agents over that. Your agents could lose consumer business. I say keep it to yourself.
mm,
So I do. No one would ever find anything on, any podcast, blog post, social media post where I have said one negative thing about anyone. And you know what that really speaks to? It speaks to protecting your reputation. And, Darryl, I'm going to go on and say that in business, in my opinion, there's nothing more important than your reputation. And
mm,
it doesn't take much to tear parts of that reputation down, but that is one way and a very important way to, maintain your integrity within the industry and also be professional and, exceeding your own personal goals and business goals, your reputation.
That's a big bomb that you just dropped there. Reputation, guard it, protect it, because that's the number one currency in business. Wow, that was
Number
incredible.
one.
Number one, and what's interesting too, just to echo or highlight what you said about being political or sharing any kind of position or vote where you are on one side or the other. Yeah, you'll probably win some people, but you might lose more. And the challenge is that you won't know that you lost it. They just won't come to you.
Exactly. No, you don't. You have no idea that you lost it, and no idea whatsoever. And so, the two main areas are political and, the the business turmoil that we're in right now, the perceived business turmoil. Many people are having the best year ever, brokers and realtors, and so it's not that bad for everyone. And look at those who are successful and look at the way they're doing business.
Awesome. Okay, let's look at one of the things you always recognize. Great. All right, let's talk about the culture. One of the things you've always recognized is creating cultures where people generally want to belong. How do you intentionally build a culture instead of simply just hoping it develops?
Yes, and hope is not a strategy. So, you can't depend on hope. But first of all, want to believe in the importance of culture, and I believe in it. If you create a positive environment where everyone, you're inclusive to everyone, you're not discriminatory to anyone. You don't always have to be positive. I mean, things go wrong and there are challenges out there. So let's not operate our businesses in a Pollyanna-ish way where everything's great all of the time. It's not. Recognize challenges and opportunities and constantly make change, but include everyone, in those changes. Everyone should have a voice. That's a collaborative culture. It's a collaborative culture within a franchise network with broker owners. It's a collaborative culture within an agent team, within a company, no matter what size you are. And, in business, I've learned this a long time ago, is that, there's a lot of growth opportunities for teams coming together and brokerages merging together and acquisitions that take place. The number one reason for success with a merger or acquisition is that the culture is aligned.
Mm,
And, there was an old, who sadly has passed away now, Dr. Peter Drucker, who,
yes.
yes, you remember, and a brilliant business leader and author of books. But that's what he said, that culture is first and foremost in any business. So it's very, very important.
I can't believe you just said Peter
I
Drucker.
know.
I mean, I haven't looked at his material in years, and he a brilliant
It
strategy.
applies today. So.
Oh yes, all right. I'm gonna have to brush that.
I think one of his quotes was, and now of course we can look it up. I think that one of his quotes was, culture eats strategy for breakfast, or culture,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
that's like some people would go, no, I don't believe that, but it's true.
No, he was brilliant. Okay. I want to let's jump to, yeah, let's go to NAR for a second because I want to, for people who came in later aren't clear, Nakia Wright, our new executive officer for NAR, has been trying to clean up stuff and doing a great job. And one of those decisions she made was getting you out of retirement and helping consult there. So let me ask you, because I know you've been talking to a lot of brokers in that. And by the way, on behalf of the industry, thank you for coming back. Really. Many brokers felt disconnected from NAR following the settlement. You were hired to re-engage the broker community 18 months ago, and so are thereabouts. Since then, have you spoken literally with thousands? What are they telling you? How are you helping rebuild the trust with those brokers?
Well, here's the strategy. So, first of all, Yes, I came out of very brief retirement. Actually, I never even retired because before I retired, I, was offered the opportunity with NAR. So, which was exactly how I wanted it. I wasn't ready to retire. I just want to, I thought if I threw this out into the universe that things were going to happen, and one great thing did. So, I'll tell the story, and it speaks to the strategy of interacting with brokers and the importance of relationships. And so, some brokers uh, talked to Nakia and said, "You should talk to Sherry. She may be able to help in, the broker arena of what's going on because there was trust broken, and a catastrophic event or a series of catastrophic events that led to that. The biggest one being, of course, the big lawsuit. And so I started talking to her, and we had several Zoom meetings and then an in-person meeting, and we realized that we could, in fact, work together. One of the things that she said to me is, and this resonated so completely, she said, NAR needs to run like a public company, not like a trade organization. There needs to be
Hmm.
a high level of accountability. And so I thought, you know what? I've worked for public companies almost my entire career. I I firmly agree with you. So that's one of the reasons why I started. So
Okay.
my work at the beginning was to reach out to the large brokers and enterprise, I call them enterprise companies. Those are the global brands,
Okay.
and interact with them, listen to them, and start to work with them to, bring them back and into at least, in the beginning, communicating with Nakia and the leadership of NAR. So I had an early strategy for that. And not ended, but in 2025, it ended up that we had two meetings in person in Chicago, one with a group of global enterprise companies and one with a group of large regional companies that were excluded from the settlement. And
Okay.
so we were off and running, and I won't give you all of the details on that, but over the course of that year, we uncovered the fact that there are 85,000 broker owners across the country. And so this group was very important, but there's also the rest of the brokers as well. And so an
Right.
additional strategy, right, was created. And that is the strategy that I'm working very hard on now in conjunction with the large enterprise companies and the regional brokers. And that is broker summits. And so what we did was we went to the state associations and said, would you like to have a broker summit? Here's a potential agenda. I will come and others will come from NAR. We can put a day on the calendar. And so when I announced this in spring of 2025, um, immediately 30 states put their hand up and said, we want one,
Wow.
and had one. So last year in 2025, 47 broker summits took place across the country.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. And, I haven't really publicized it on social, or I'm very, quiet as to what we're accomplishing in some respects, but loud as it relates to NAR communicating what we're doing.
Okay.
And so 47 this year, I think we're scheduled for 60, and
Wow.
we're already booking into next year. So that has allowed myself, Nakia Wright, and other leaders at NAR to interact with broker owners of all sizes and listen to them, present to them. So here's what a typical one looks like. The night before, we have a dinner with maybe 20 large brokers and have just dinner. There's no agenda, but talk, learn, listen. And then the next day, there may be a room of 200
Hmm.
where there's a full and complete agenda. And then there's follow up, there's a survey. We need to gather information. Nikki and her team have surveyed well over 150,000 members in the past
Wow.
12 months. All of this is happening behind the scenes because without data and
Right.
understanding, you can't move forward with a strategic plan. And speaking of that, she built with others a strategic plan for 2026 like NAR has never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a high level of accountability in
Mm-hmm.
all of the various departments, including me, who is not an employee, but I also am held to a very high level of accountability within my subset, which is all to do with brokers. And so that's the work that I've been doing. And
Wow.
Darryl, it is so rewarding because it's bringing people together, and that's something that I absolutely love and believe that it's so very important. And in many of these, um, the brokers walk out and say, "Why haven't we done this before?" They're all
Yes,
competitors.
I've got it. Listen, I'm not as smart as you, so I
Don't
trust
you say that? No.
I well, I kind of do it as a little deprecating humor, but I've got to disagree with one thing because I haven't heard about this, and I know based on my people that if they knew NAR is doing this kind of work to right
Mhm.
the ship, that would build a tremendous amount of trust, which is still so very much damaged. So, I'd encourage you guys to toot
We'll
your
get
own
it out
horn,
there more.
get it out
Yes.
there because
Okay, that's a good takeaway from me.
I'm
And we
telling you,
absolutely
they need to
will.
know you're working your tushes off trying to do this. Is very
Yeah,
important what you just
is
shared.
very important. Let me give you an example. Like, there's so many examples, but there are some that are just near and dear to me. So, Mississippi. So, the
Okay.
state of Mississippi is all spread out. There's not, Jackson, Mississippi is the state capital. And there are brokers, mostly smaller companies or franchises or teams, and it's all spread out. 4 or 5 hour drive from Point X to Jackson.
Hmm.
So the CEO of the Mississippi Association reached out. She wants to have a broker summit. So I said, fine. And so I said, maybe we should have a virtual one because, everyone's spread out. No, in person. So like, fine. So we put it together and, it followed a similar format with a panel of broker competitors sharing some presentations, etc., and continuing education, which is also always a big draw.
Always a big day. That's a
Always a
draw.
big draw. So I thought I didn't know, when we didn't know how many people were going to come, they had to register, but people register. Standing room only,
Come on.
170 brokers
Come on.
drove. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So that speaks to the need, and
Yes. Yes.
it speaks to the importance of collaboration.
Hey, gang, throw some hearts if you think this is a good idea. What they're doing with these broker summits. Let her know. I want to jump to questions because I just glanced over and I'm looking at our time and there's
Yeah,
11 questions. So and I do have one other thing, but let
yeah.
me jump to these really quick. Julie, do you mind? Julie, I'm going to do these real quick if you don't mind. Julie,
Yeah, I
usually,
think we need to probably lump them together because we do have a lot. So,
yes.
Okay.
yeah. So
All
go
right. If you see anything that's a duplicate, if you want to just take it off my list here, Julie, and I'll do that.
Will
So
do. I will state that we had a couple of questions that were very legal in nature and specific to a market. So we're not taking those today because that's not
yeah,
really what we're
So,
here for.
yeah, we
So,
can't take a legal question, but what we can do is, you can go to your state association who can reach out to the NAR Legal Counsel to have any question answered.
thank you for that.
good. And I'll moderate what I can, Darryl.
Yes, thank you. Loretta Conway asks, thinking of starting my own real estate business, what would be your advice for starting a new office?
My advice is, Loretta, what I talked about, and that is to build, visualize a value proposition And what do you want your company to stand for? Who are you? And bring agents in based on that. Do you want to be small, medium? What are your goals? Put a short-term and long-term plan together, and really the sky is the limit. But there's the days are gone where everybody has to be big. You don't have to be big to be successful. You have to understand and build strategically to be successful. So I say go for it.
Awesome. Very great. Eileen Rosenthal says, well, she's asking, I want to respect her and honor her. She's asking, what is your value proposition? But you don't have, because you're consulting now. So we're going to skip on that. Jessica Giulino, this is an opinion about the new merge with Realty Connect on Long Island, New York, with Better Homes and Gardens. So they're asking your opinion, and let's make it a broader one. I'm sure Jessica is from Long Island, which is where that is. Whenever a company merges, the agents sometimes get questions, concerns about that. So what would you say any agent that's concerned about when their family joins now with this new company?
It's I saw that announcement, and I follow closely everything Better Homes and Gardens, and every brand where there's acquisitions and mergers and that type of thing. And so I would go back to, if you're a realtor, go back to your brand, to your manager. Or the person who's running your company, and I'm sure that they will listen to your questions and concerns. And also to go to, with franchise brands, there are servicing people that service the offices and brands, and you can go to them as well. So, but I would say that patience is, a great virtue, because two large companies are merging together. It's going to take time.
And that's perhaps one of the most important things I hope Jessica and anybody that's in that pay attention to, because when two large companies come together, they've got to find their footing. There's a lot happening. It takes time.
And Darryl, also, and this is general comment, but for that question as well, don't I urge you not to prejudge. We're, as human beings, we often go to the judge part of our brain very quickly. Don't do that. Let it all unfold and find out how it can be best for you.
Brilliant. Lily asking, as a new agent, what would you recommend in today's market, a very crowded real estate community? We kind of answered this a little bit. She may not have picked up on it. 2/3 of my state's real estate agents live or work here at the beach. So what would you recommend for her to stand out, I guess, as a new agent?
Stand out by being professional, and in your put a plan together for social media that is professional. Keep a separate account for your own personal friends and family, and build on that. Utilize AI effectively, but don't let it take over. And find, a one transaction leads to another. So find your first people, sell their home, or sell them a home, and then build on your database. Communicate effectively to them. Never give up. Just keep communicating, and business will come to you. So don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up. And Lily, find your voice.
Find your voice. Yeah.
There's millions of singers, and the ones that don't make it are the ones trying to be something they're not. Find your voice. I'm going to jump to this one because it says a watch party. So that means the pressure's on. We probably have a bunch of people in an office staring at us. And not to be political at all, but high level, what are your thoughts on the private listings and the future of the MLS?
I think that there's a strong future for the MLS. With private listings, I won't comment on it one way or the other. These new initiatives have a way of, over a period of time, sorting themselves out, so they end up being the best. But we're at a pivotal time right now. And remember earlier I said the words catastrophic event, and that had to do with the lawsuits and other things that were happening. We're at a turning point now. And I will tell you, at NAR, it's all hands on deck. meeting with MLSs, understanding from a practitioner's point of view, from the association's point of view, and from the MLS's point of view, what the future might look like. And also, I have to put this plug in, and only because I believe in it wholeheartedly. Your state, your local, and your national association have never been more important than they are now, ever.
Mm. I
Be
echo.
involved.
Slow
Get
clap from
involved.
everybody on that one. Everybody.
Yeah, I echo that. I applaud that. Exactly. If there was any time to be a realtor and be an active realtor involved, now's the time. Yes, I agree. Let's see. Paul says, I've been in the real estate for 35 years. I have several niches that I focus on. I really want to focus on my brand as I think, what just happened to that? Okay. Don't clear them, Jules, because let me just do that. Thank you. I really want to focus on my brand as I think that it is extremely important. Are there people that I can meet with who can listen to me and what to do and my unique selling proposition and recommend my brand that I should utilize? Are these people out there that I can hire to do this? Okay.
Well, one is right here looking at me on the screen. Darryl Davis, that you're on this call, so you're going in the right direction. I would say read, study, take as many courses as you can, but don't overthink it. I've seen very smart people get into real estate, and they've been overthinking everything and spending way too much time getting organized. And then I see someone else get into the business who's completely appears to be disheveled, that
Mm-hmm.
they zero in on end up being a top producer in no time because they go for the priorities. So what is your priority? It's meeting face to face with
Mm-hmm.
consumers, and the result being selling them a home or selling their home and getting referrals for the next transaction.
There
Simple,
you go.
simple business, but not easy.
I just looked at the time. I can't believe that we've
I
hit that
couldn't believe it.
mark. I could talk to you for hours. I'm not kidding, Sherry. And I know there were some other questions. I'm sorry that we couldn't get to it. Before, as we come to a close, gang, do me a favor. If Sherry has made any difference with you, could you please articulate it in the chat? Could you let her know how
Yeah.
this impacted you? Because I think that that's important, to pay it forward, to show the respect and honor that she's given us.
Thank you.
And
No,
I have
Sherry.
a couple of ideas. I know we're over time, but
No, go. That's
number
was gonna be
one
my
is
question. No.
please follow me on LinkedIn. Send me a message. I would love to interact with you, and happy to do so. So please do that. Number one, and number two, Darryl,
Yeah.
maybe we could have a repeat at some point,
Oh, I would love that.
like a round two.
I
Round
would love
two.
that. I would love that. As a matter of fact, I love that. And as a matter of fact, I'd like to reach out to you because I'm going to be keynoting next month and this is probably not the venue to say this, but the leadership for NAR, for the executive office of presidents coming
Fantastic.
in. And the title is how to recruit and retain your members. And I would really, if you don't mind, if we carve out maybe 15 minutes on a
Of
telephone
course.
call, I would love to get your feedback.
Yeah, well, I have a feedback for you. I have feedback for you for sure.
That would be awesome. All right, great. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for power agents, non-power agents, brokers, managers, everybody that was on the call today. I know you guys got a tremendous amount of value. I want to thank you for the listening that you guys brought to this conversation and your questions. I apologize for the folks who couldn't get to it. But Sherry, most importantly, thank you so much for I really mean this. The mark that you've left on this industry is just absolutely incredible. And boy, oh boy, it was my honor to be with you today. So thank you.
The honor is mine, Darryl. Thank you for the invitation. And everyone, have a great weekend, and be you. Do your best work and be the best version of yourself.
That's it. Jules, Sarah, take us out. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again.